Brew podcast produced by Drew McLaren, and I'm your host, Dan Miller. Thank you for joining us for this week's podcast, and please help us out by subscribing to our podcast on YouTube, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, or wherever you're watching, and please give us a follow on Twitter. Today's podcast is brought to you by our sponsors, both right here in beautiful San Marcos, Texas. Pie Society is an excellent stop for New York-style pizzas made with the freshest ingredients, local beers on tap, and an overall fun and cool vibe. And come into Zelik's Ice House when in Central Texas for their happy hour drink specials, spacious outside patio, and a great time with friends. Today, for our episode, we are very excited to welcome the head men's basketball coach at Iona University, Tobin Anderson. Coach Anderson is taking over at Iona. Before he was named head basketball coach at Iona in March, Coach Anderson led Fairleigh Dickinson to 2 NCAA victories last season, including becoming the second number 16 seed ever to defeat a number 1 seed by taking down Purdue in the NCAA tournament. Prior to coaching at FDU, Coach had very successful runs as the head coach at St. Thomas Aquinas, Hamilton, and Clarkson. Coach Anderson, thank you for coming on and welcome to our podcast.
Thanks, Dan. Great to be here with you.
Man, it's an honor, Coach, and it was so much fun watching that NCAA tournament. Before we talk about that, though, Coach, how is the transition to Iona going?
It's been different. Every job you take is a different transition. So, the reality was I got back from Columbus from the NCAA tournament and on a Monday morning, and by Monday afternoon I had the Iona job, so it was like right back to work. So there's been no downtime, no time to kick back and relax. It's been just nonstop recruiting, but it's going well. I mean, Iona's a great place. It's built to win. A lot of tradition here, a lot of success in the past, and things are in place to be successful. So we're just trying to kind of get our roster stabilized and get our guys ready to go. We're close. We're close to being done, which would be great because we start summer school in about 3 weeks. So it'd be good to be done and move forward. But no, it's going well. We're excited, very excited about what's happening, and it's like a little bit, at FDU last year, we took over in the summer. We needed eight guys, and I thought eight new guys was a lot. 12 new guys is a whole different animal. So it's been a wild ride.
Right. And recruiting never stops, Coach. And I know when you take over a program, obviously the numbers and transfer portal, I'm excited to watch a new roster and watch you guys take off. Coach, just talking about your team, and I want to get to what you're going to do there at Iona, of course, and practices and talk basketball strategy. But just this past season was so special. We got to talk about it. Coach, was there a time that you could point to this year that you knew you had something special that you could make a possible NCAA tournament run with that team?
Yeah, I mean, I think we kind of knew, and I like talking about the team because we had it was a fun trip for us. But in the summertime, we actually thought we were better than we expected. The guys were, guys who really came back in great shape and were going to help us. And then we knew we had 3 guys from Division II coming in who we knew were good players. So that part was good. And so the guys that came back in great shape. And then we had some new guys that came in that sometimes the pieces just fit. I thought the pieces kind of fit together. And but you're always nervous and worried about if you can compete, especially with a new team. And so we scrimmaged Navy, first scrimmage of the year, and actually we jumped out to like a 20-6 lead. And I thought, man, we're not that bad. Because you're always nervous about can you win any games, And we actually we're not that bad. And then they came back and ended up beating us. But then we went to Loyola Chicago the first night and had them beat. We ended up losing on the buzzer to go in overtime, and we played really well then too. Right. And then we had our bad moments too. So it was definitely a roller coaster ride. It was not a smooth ride. It was not an easy year at all from a lot of different angles. And we just happened to play well, I think, at the last month we played really well and peaked at the right time. But it was a great year. Great bunch of guys, a lot of fun to be around, and the success. They deserved it. They worked their tails off.
Absolutely. And Coach, the beating Purdue is absolutely important, and we're going to talk about that. It was huge, but to take a team with 4 wins before you took over, to get them to 21 wins, I think that's got to be one of the biggest turnarounds. Can you talk about how you did that so quickly?
Yep. It's the biggest turnaround in Division I history. It's us and Towson. I think Towson State or Towson University. They were first before us, and we tied them this year. So yeah, I think just I think when you come into a program that's been losing for a while, that has not had success, and they had 3 bad years in a row, that they're hungry for something different, for a change. So they were very receptive. Like no one was. And I've had my fifth college job. I lose track of these after a while. My fifth college job. Three of them were just bad jobs. Like I went into a place where they're not used to winning. They had some really bad years. And those guys they want to change. They want to
Right.
win. They want to listen to you more. They're more apt to pay attention. And then once we got going and won a couple games, they bought in even more. Then they're listening. Then they're really into it. And there's because you kind of need that early success to validate what's going on. Because we work hard. Like we're
Right.
on the track. We're in the gym in the summertime. We're in great shape. We go in the weight room. The whole thing. We go hard. So to do all that stuff and then have them have some success early on helped us all right, these guys actually this might pay off for us. It might work for us, and they bought into it. But they also had high character, and they wanted to win, and they were competitive. When we recruit, like the competitive level of guys is so important. Like you want guys who want to compete, who it's important to them. So I think that part more than anything else, we've done a good job of identifying guys who are competitive guys, and like having guys that came with us from St. Thomas who are used to winning, even at the Division II level. They'd been in the Sweet 16 every year. So they knew, what it was like to win at a pretty high level. So that kind of carried over to the rest of the guys too. So, it ended up being a great year for us.
Right. And Coach, when you make the NCAA tournament and you have the 16 versus 16 game, how do you keep your guys from looking ahead, to play Purdue, like to focus in because you had to win that game first?
Yeah. So we had obviously Texas Southern, we played in the first 4 games, had been there 3 years in a row. So it was able to kind of like pump them up a little bit. And then, obviously I think they were picked to win it, picked to beat us that game. There was like a 65% chance they're supposed to win, which the guys can see on ESPN. So it's kind of like we pumped them up pretty good. And like for us going to Dayton and playing in front of 12,000 people and playing on national TV, we made it special. Like it is because it's the only game on that Wednesday night. There's no other games. There's no competing games. There's no other options. So everybody's going to watch your game. So we were excited for that game. And the guys were definitely ready to go and to win an NCAA game in front of a great crowd and playing a team that had been there before 3 straight years. So we did a good job of cracking that. I don't think we mentioned Purdue one time until after we won. I mean, with the players. Now we obviously mentioned it as a coaching staff, but we hadn't talked a lot about what could happen down the road. And you kind of got to be that way in the tournament, like I said, to survive in advance, just try to win and then worry about the next game when you get to it.
Yep, absolutely. And I know that being here in Texas, Texas Southern team is very talented,
Yep.
very good team for a 16 seed each year. So that was a heck of a win. So then you get done, you defeat Texas Southern. It went viral, Coach. When you had your team and you told them about Purdue, you knew it, but you watched film. What did you see on tape, Coach, that you have a chance to win that game and you felt that way?
So we had talked after we would qualify for the tournament about who we could possibly play. So we knew we'd be a 16 seed. Like we're not. Let's be realistic. Yep. We knew we'd be a 16. So who the top 4 teams were it was kind of nice to qualify early because you could kind of look at the brackets and kind of guess who you might play. And so we kind of knew Texas Southern was a possibility and the other teams, Howard was a possibility. But the 4 number 1 seeds, you got Purdue, you got Alabama. You have, was it Kansas?
Kansas, yep.
And then who's the 4th one I'm thinking? Houston.
Right? Yep, U of H.
We didn't want to play Kansas, Houston, or Alabama. We're like, just to be honest with you, we're like, those teams we don't match up well with. We saw Purdue a little bit, and we thought, hey, here's a couple freshman guards. Can they handle pressure? Can they guard our? We run 5-out motion, so they had to guard our. Can Zach Edie guard our 5-man when he steps to the perimeter?
Yeah,
and we thought that was a good matchup for us. We really did. We thought that when the brackets came out, we're like, that's not a bad matchup. And then, we break up the scout report stuff. So Cam Morrell, my assistant, had the Purdue, and he's watching tons of tape, and he's just like, listen, man, I think we can beat these guys. And I'm like, that's the day of the Texas Southern game. I'm like, but you coached for a long time. Like, you're not looking ahead you're just like, let's just win today.
Win that game.
We're going to go home. So, but he did say that to me, and he's like, hey, we can get these guys. And I'm like, he was like very confident, and we'd all watch a little bit of tape. So we were kind of like, it's a good matchup for us. I think, I said this a number of times, like styles make fights. Like they were not used to our style. They were not used to playing fast. They're not used to our quickness, not used to our guarding 5-out motion, not used to the press. So it helped us out playing them as opposed to the alternative of a Kansas or especially like an Alabama or a Houston who's not only bigger than us, but also more athletic too.
Right. Right. And it is such a thing with matchups, Coach. We were talking about that last week on our podcast with the style in the Southland. It's a very athletic league. And then Sam Houston switched and they moved conferences. Now they're playing against 7-footers and, just a style matchup. But they did what they did and they had a lot of success in the WAC.
Yep.
Coach, can I ask how Zach Edie? Oh my gosh! One, how do you game plan for that guy? 7'4" and so skilled and such a good basketball player. But you guys watching the game and then rewatching it this week, you made him guard,
Yep.
and your player did a very good job. Being able to step out, hit a three early, and
Yep.
was that part of the game plan, making him guard, Coach?
Absolutely. Make him run. We talk about how he's got to run the floor and then make him have to guard. And so
Right.
it's actually worked out in our favor because in the first round game against Texas Southern, our 5-man, the kid Ansley, he was our starting 5-man. He had 28 points. So I think Coach Painter knew he couldn't put Edie on him because that kid could really shoot the ball at
Sure.
28 points. So he puts him on Sean Moore. We knew that was going to happen. We kind of knew he'd probably guard. And Sean was shooting 28% from three, so it made sense. And we just said, Sean, you're going to get open shots. You're going to get open drives. You got to be aggressive. You got to make plays. We talked about we're not going to roll any ball screens at all. I'm going to just say pop everything, like to drive the ball, suck him in, get him to commit to the ball, then throw it back out from behind. Either shoot it, drive a closeout, or swing it and get into our next action. So making him guard was a huge part of what we had to do. We knew he's going to score 20, 25, 30 points. We couldn't stop him from scoring those points. There's an overall philosophy with the rest of the guys, but like he had to guard our guys. And like that, like Sean, I think the kid he guarded, Sean Moore, had he was 7 for 17. Like he didn't go crazy, but he got a lot of good shots, and he made enough shots that got us a win, because we shot less than 40% and still won. Like we didn't shoot, like a lot of times in upsets a team shoots like 65% or something crazy. We shot less than 40% and still beat Purdue. So we didn't go nuts shooting the ball, but we made enough shots. But our defense was incredible. So that was a huge key for us.
Right, absolutely. And just watching it as a neutral spectator, Coach, you outplayed them for 40 minutes. I can say it. So, like, you really did. And then when they did make that run and take a lead after you had control of the game, most of the game they took a lead. I think they maybe went up 6 or 7. But then you guys grab it right back. I think a 13-3 run yourselves. How do you stay confident as a 16 seed? Because I think some teams, that's when the 16 seed maybe does kind of melt and the 1 seed takes over. But you guys showed the fight to fight right back and regain control of the game.
We talked to them all before the game, like trying to beat Purdue in a 40-minute game is a big task, right? So like just break it into 4-minute games, like try to win each. There's a media timeout, all these damn media timeouts at this level. Right. So it's like there's a lot of breaks. So just win the 4 minutes, or win the 4 minutes, or be in the game, for 4 minutes. It's almost like be in the game, right? So if you play the first 4, next 4, and the whole time we were in the game. Then they made that run, and I think there's a timeout, media timeout, or maybe we called timeout. And the guys were great. The guys were like, just win the next 4 minutes. But they said it. I didn't say it. They said it, and like we didn't get flustered by, hey, we're down 6 all of a sudden, or we're not playing well. Now, as a coach, we're at a tipping point here. We better, if we don't win the next 4 minutes, we're probably in a lot of trouble. And to their credit, we came right back. Our point guard got fouled, made an and one, scored again to cut it to 1, and then the kid hit the 3 in transition to go up by 2, and that was like, man, we're here now.
Right.
Like, this is gonna be a ball game the rest of the way, and because it could have gone from 6 to 12, and we're down 12, the game's over, right? But we were able to get it back to our lead, and then at that point, it's like, we knew we were back in the game, but so did Purdue
right.
too, and they started getting really, really tight. I thought they were tight the whole night. I thought they got really tight down the stretch.
Right. Incredible game, Coach. And I got to ask one more question about it before we move on, because it's great stuff. The first thing I got to ask is, like, how long does it take you to respond to probably all the people who texted and called you? I mean, that's got to be crazy. And then besides taking the Iona job, just honestly, like, how has it changed your life, like being in the national spotlight that you were?
Yeah, well, the text messages were unbelievable. So I remember I got to my hotel. We finished. We watched the next game, Memphis and Florida Atlantic, and then we got back from the arena at like midnight. There was a reception at a local bar. We went over there for a little bit, saw our fans, alumni for a little bit. So my family was all there, hung out. I went back to my room. It was like 2 or 3 in the morning, and I'm like, I was gonna take a shower, and I'm like, do not get on your phone. Do not get on your phone. Stay off your phone. Like I couldn't, and like I start responding to some texts, and I had like 1,200 texts. I swear, like 1,200, it's like 1,300 texts. So I start responding. So then once you get to go down that rabbit hole, then it's like you're up. I was up till like 5 in the morning and slept
Wow.
like an hour. But yeah, life has definitely changed. Like, my wife and I went to the Garden the next weekend and watched the games after we got eliminated, and like all the pictures and selfies, and people know who you are now. And it's like no one cared who I was. That's not true. I mean, people were. I mean, but just like it's just a whole different world, And like it's been great though for not just me, but our players. And like for FDU, we're a small, one of the smallest Division I schools in the country, one of the smallest conferences, and all of a sudden you get the PR, the notoriety, the money. I mean, you get two wins in the NCAA tournament. I think each round is like $1.7 million for the conference. So we help the conference too. So like that, a lot of people beyond me, like obviously I definitely, it was good for me, good for my family, good for the new job, but also like good for my staff, good for the players, good for FDU. Good for a lot of people. So we're happy about that a lot of people came along. There's, when you're at a small school, and Dan, because you coached at Division III, like, there's a lot of people who support you through thick and thin, through the times when things are not as good or whatever. And like, it's great to have everybody kind of be there when you do something special, like, make that run in the NCAA tournament. So that was an awesome thing for all of us.
Yep, it sure was, and it was great to watch, and I loved how you enjoyed it with your players, and you just were a family. We all say it, we want to be a family, but you could just tell your team was, and to be together that year was so special. Coach, you've taken over Division III, Division II, Division I, and you've taken over programs that haven't had a lot of success. And I know Iona has had success in the past, but you're excited to build on that, I know you will. What are some constants that it doesn't matter if it's Division III, II, or I, that in a Coach Anderson program that you want to make sure you have when you're taking over the program?
Yeah, I mean that's a great question, because those things, like, you learn, right? You get better at it as time goes on. Like my first job was at Division III Clarkson, and they hadn't been in 525 years, but they wanted to win, and they wanted to be successful. And I was back then like tons of energy, and we're all excited. Let's capture the world and go win the national championship. Like crazy things you're thinking then. But like, you do good things, and you do some things that are not as good. Then you learn from that as the next job and each job. And like, I think actually the worst job I did in my first year was at a place called Hamilton College, where they had won for a long time. The guy was Tom Murphy, was the head coach there, won 600 games. I went in there and I thought I had all the answers. I was 32 years old. I don't care what Coach Murphy did. I'm gonna do it my way. I kind of made a lot of mistakes. We actually did not have a good first year, chemistry wise, team wise. A lot of it was my fault. And so I learned a lot from that. Like I think communication is huge. Like that's, so what's a staple? Like communication with players, with the staff, with the administration, with people on campus. Like I've been on campus for 6 weeks, and I've met a ton of people. I've been out and about. I've been walking around the campus, meeting people, talking to people, like just being active, being visible, right? Communication is important. Obviously the commitment, the hard work, and that's just, you can't make up for that. Like, being in the gym all the time, being gym rats, like living in the gym, working hard. It's been funny, not funny, but it's actually, it's too bad. Like, because of our lack of guys coming back, we haven't had a chance to do workouts this spring. We've had one guy working out the whole time. So now once we start summer school in like 3 weeks or 4 weeks, we'll start that kind of in the gym, on the track, in the weight room, that hard work stuff. The hard work's not just for the players, it's for us as a staff too, the coaching staff. Like, we're committed to it, what we're doing as well, right? We believe in this thing called arete. It's a Greek word for excellence. We believe in excellence across the board. Like, we believe in having, just not only being a great team, but like being great in the classroom, being good people on campus, like doing the right thing, saying please and thank you, treating people the right way, doing community service stuff, like things like that, just pursuing excellence. It's hard to be a great player if you're not also a great person too, and a great student, not necessarily what your GPA is or but like just doing the best you can, like having good habits, waking up early, doing the right things, being organized, all that kind of stuff. And so, like, I think those things are like the hard work, the communication, the pursuit of excellence, everything you do. We talk a lot about next play, like it's always about the next. And I think that helped us in the Purdue game too. And like, we built that kind of with our guards for 5 years. Like, hey, whatever happens, go make the next play. Good, bad, and different. Like, go make the next play. Don't linger on. And I think as a coach, one of the things I think I do a pretty good job of is that we make a mistake, we don't let that bother us for a long time. It's like go on to the next thing, and go on to the next play. And if you're 0 for 10, but you're a good shooter, like, you better shoot number 11. You can't be hesitant. You can't play with fear. You can't play afraid to make plays. And like we tell our guys, our philosophy is players make plays. We'll put you in a system. We'll put you in a structure. We'll put you in a environment to be successful. But at the end of the day, like I want you to have confidence to go make plays. And
Right.
so we try to instill confidence in our guys. Like, hey, this is, I'm not going to design a defense or an offense that's going to do things. It's more on you and on your ability to have the confidence to make those kind of plays. And so we definitely talk about that all the time. So those things are important. Same thing here. We recruit the kind of guys, like high character guys, work hard, tough kids, communicate, and then get better every day. And that's like, no matter what you're doing, you got to get better at what you do. So that's a huge part of it.
Right. That builds a great foundation for your program with your values and everything that goes with that part of laying the foundation. Now, from a basketball standpoint, Coach, just studying your teams, you've always been great with transition offense and playing fast and scoring, and it's been fun to watch. And even, looking at your synergy ratings, excellent for transition offense. Is this something that you practice? Is this something that your defense leads to your offense? What goes into being such a successful transition offense? And saying that, I know players, young kids, high school transfers, they like to play in that system. And do you recruit for that also?
Yeah, I mean, I think every player, like you just said, wants to play fast, wants to score points. And so as a coach, like I'm not a control. My dad was a high school coach for 30 years. So like we ran motion offense where he didn't call a bunch of sets or a bunch of plays. We just played basketball. And I know that I went to college, and in college we ran a bunch of sets and called plays and slowed things down. And coach always holding up play calls. And like, listen, that works too. I'm not saying it's not successful, but like I enjoyed playing in the motion and playing with some freedom and confidence more than I liked playing in a set play offense or a system, right? So we want our guys to play with freedom, right? And so a lot of times that freedom comes, let's play fast, let's push the ball off the floor. We don't have to necessarily shoot fast, but we want to run every time. Want to try to get the best shot we can as soon as we can. Want to get in the paint. Want to live in the paint on drives, on penetration, on cuts. Run our motion, and then like you said, our defense creates a lot of our offense. So we pressed. Last year was 42% of the time. It's the most in Division I of all 370 teams or whatever it is. So we forced, I think, 17 turnovers a game. Well, 17 turnovers a game gets you 17 more possessions, right? And a lot of those possessions end up being 3-on-2s, 2-on-1s, 4-on-3s. So we're creating offense off our defense. We're getting steals into transition. We're getting 6-0. We talk a lot about 6-0 runs. Get a 6-0 run, make them call timeout, and then play even, and get another 6-0 run. All of a sudden, you're up by 12 points. So yeah, we like to play fast. We were top 50, I think, in offensive efficiency this year. I think we were top 30 in assists to turnover ratio. We averaged 82 points a game with a brand new team, and a team that had won 4 games the year before. So we played. Now we like to defend. We were not great in the half court defensively last year at all. So that part was not as good, but sometimes we had a better offensive team last year than a defensive team. And like that kind of dictated how we played. Like we had to be hard to guard. We had to be a team that scored some points because people have talked about the smallest team in Division I. So we couldn't be a grinded out, powerful, physical, punch in the mouth team. We had to be fast, up tempo, defense creates offense, and then hard to guard and let it fly sometimes and chase it down. We were actually a really good offensive rebounding team too, but we couldn't be a traditional half court team. We would have gotten drilled that way. So every team's a little bit different. I'm sure Iona next year won't be the same way, but we like to score points. So scoring points is fun for everybody.
Right. No doubt. No doubt, Coach. How do you balance, leading the NCAA one in 40% or over pressing? How do you balance, for the turnovers you do get sometimes giving up a basket on the other end can be frustrating, and maybe that's why some coaches don't press, even though maybe they want to. How do you have, I don't know if courage is the right word to stick with it, but I saw you stick with it with Purdue, where I know some coaches probably would have said, okay, now get everyone back. You're like, get up, let's keep pressing. You kept doing it.
Yeah, but I think I think what I've learned from my years of coaching is like the best coaches have a style or a system that they believe in, and for the most part you tweak things, but you stick to it. So we believe in pressing. Like we believe in pressing. We believe the benefits outweigh the negatives. And there's definitely you got to play more guys. Guys get tired playing that way. like you said, you give up some layups or open threes at certain points. The game it's out of your control sometimes. There's more of the players making decisions, which I don't mind, but you gotta be you kind of gotta give them that power. So yeah, it's you want to get more than you give up. So sometimes our best pressing teams actually will give up more things. We'll give up 3 or 4 layups, but we'll get more stuff off the press because we're being a little more aggressive, get more deflections, making more things happen. It's just a matter of what you're willing to live with, you know. And I don't like the open threes to a wide open three. Like there's the Purdue game, we gave a 3 to their best 3-point shooter. We're up by 6, or no, up by 5, up by 4, up by 4 or 5, and they got it. And like I didn't like that either, but but like the thing is, you may give up that 3 in the half court anyway. So it's like we got a bunch of steals, we forced a bunch of turnovers. Okay, gave up a 3. We can live with that. It just can't happen all the time.
Right.
We try to minimize. We call them fix-its. So hey, it's a situation. It's a 3-on-2, 4-on-3. Can we turn that into our 5-on-5 and make it into our half court defense? And we talk about that all the time. Like you got to fit. We're gonna take some chances. We're gonna gamble a little bit. We're gonna be aggressive. Now, can we fix that and make that into no layups, no threes, no fouls, and get the defensive rebound? But I mean, I think my personality, I'm able to kind of like, okay, my dad used to say all the time, well, it's not a touchdown. It's like for you Texas people, it's a 2-point. We can get that 2 if we're good on offense. We'll get the 2 back on offense. Yep. But a touchdown's a difference. You play a football game, that's a different story. But it's not a touchdown. We can live with a 2-point shot or even a 3, guarded 3. So it's you got to be willing to live with certain things.
Yeah, Coach, that's great. In Texas, everyone will love that one. It's not a touchdown, as it's speaking Texas language there now. Coach, if we were watching a practice, what percentage of – I know it's hard to put because every practice is different, but what percentage are you spending more on defense, on offense, on transition, on skills, on shooting? What does a practice during the season look like, Coach?
We try to do as much as we can. We're a little bit of both at the same time, So when we probably get into 5-on-5 faster than any team in the country. Like we'll get loose. We'll do some skill stuff. We'll shoot a little bit, and then we'll maybe do a little defensive breakdown, 3-on-3 or 2-on-2 guard ball screens. We're usually going 5-on-5 by the first 20 minutes of practice.
Okay,
and we're going hard. Like we're pressing, we're going up and down, and then we'll go back and we'll break it down into some more defensive stuff and things like that. We never go longer than 2 hours, because we go hard, like 2 hours hard. Like a lot of transition, a lot up and down. So I would say probably half and half, to be honest with you. I got one coach, and how we do it a lot of times, I have one coach who's not an offensive coordinator or defensive coordinator, but one guy who's really watching the offense. Tom Bonnicum is my guy. He actually worked for the Mavericks for a year as a grad. It was out of college. He's like an offensive guru. He watches the offense. Cam Morrell, who played for me, he watches the press. He loves the press. He's watching the press. A lot of times my focus is on the half-court defense. Just because my eye tends to go towards that. We have one guy watching the rebounding. And that's what we try to break it up that way.
Sure.
Each guy's, because a lot of times in practice, like with your coaches, if you're all watching everything, you're all watching nothing sometimes. It's like, what's going on? Well, we're all watching the ball. I try to make sure, hey, one guy's watching certain things at all times. So we try to break it up. With the press, you're probably doing maybe a third press, a third offense, a third defense, half-court defense. And then as the year goes on, hope you tweak it according to what's going well or what needs a little bit more work. We watch a ton of film. Like film is great for us. So and like a lot of more individual film than team film.
Okay.
We have guys come in with the coach and watch like 1-on-1 or 2-on-1. Sometimes the whole team film session becomes a little bit monotonous.
Right.
But we'll do a little more like, hey, come in and watch with the coach for 20 minutes, 30 minutes, that kind of stuff. So, but yeah, I mean, I think our practices are fun, guys. I think guys look forward to then they're hard.
Yep.
Go up and down, but it's all competitive. It's all we're keeping score. Most of it's offensive, transition stuff. And as the year goes along, we'll go 2 hours to start. We were down to like an hour and 10 most practices in February.
Okay.
Now we come back in on their own, and at the college level, you can do this.
Sure.
They come in and shoot.
Yep.
So we don't shoot a lot during practice. They come in on their own with a coach, and we shoot like, hey, for 45 minutes at night, 45 minutes in the morning, just to get off an extra 300 shots, 400 shots.
Yep.
But our practices are very, very I think pretty efficient.
Yeah.
In what we do.
Yep. Oh, I'd love to watch one day, Coach.
You're invited. Come up anytime you want to. Bring some of those pizzas from down there.
Hey,
We'll have a great time. It'll be
we will,
awesome.
we will, Coach. We will. I got to ask you this, Coach, about your press. Do you change how many presses you have throughout a game, or are you sticking with your base press? Do you have certain calls on the ball? I mean, I'm not asking for the secret sauce here or anything, but I'm just curious to see, is it a constant, or is it a change, mix the presses up a little bit?
Yeah, and I'm not hiding anything because there's a basketball immersion. Chris Oliver is a good friend of mine. He did a whole behind the scenes. I mean, it's like 3 of our practices. It's a clinic. Like, it's all our pressing stuff. That's everything we know. I taught it. Is what we do.
Yep.
That's a lot of times, like, you can know what we do, but it's like, if you don't do it every day, doesn't matter. Like, we press every day. Like, we know every day how we're going to do things. So it's like, you got to adjust to that in 2 or 3 days in preparation. So, like, yeah, I don't hide anything. Maybe once any information. I mean, I speak at clinics, but the Chris Oliver things behind the scenes, basketball immersion, come to practice, come watch a game, whatever we want to do. So we actually, our press is the same. It's one press. It depends on either a guy on the ball or a guy off the ball to start with. Otherwise, it's the same exact press. Now, it depends on, do we trap the first pass? Do we trap the spin dribble? Do we trap up the sideline? That's the player's decision. Okay. So that's the teaching part, right? Hey, we're going to trap off a non-handler. Make them throw the ball back to a guy who can't handle the ball. We're going to trap on the dead corner. We're going to trap in a tough spot. We're going to trap the first pass if they catch the ball on a run. We're on a run. We just did a 6-0 run. We just scored, got a dunk, got a 3. They're starting to feel some pressure. We're at home. The crowd's going crazy. We'll be a little more aggressive then on trapping the first pass. Or we have we call it a blue call. Blue it's a trap around half court. So I don't make a lot of calls, but I'll say to them at a timeout, hey, let's get a few more blues now. Let's look for a blue where we're gonna turn the guy with the ball, turn him hopefully 2 or 3 times, get around half court, and then come around half court and go trap that. Gold is our gold. We're going to trap the first pass. So hey, let's get a gold here, or I'll call gold just to get us going and be more aggressive, right?
Right.
55 is like, we're not trapping at all. We're not trapping at all. It's just man-to-man turns. Stay home. Don't trap. But I give the guys 95% of the time it's their call on what they want to do. We want short traps. A guy's got to come from, like, a long trap ends up being a long rotation. We don't want long rotations. So short traps. We want traps that we prefer to trap. If they go sideline, turn the guy sideline and trap middle. We prefer to do that. We don't, because if you go sideline, they see you coming. So we prefer to trap. They don't see us coming. So we try to mix it up. I always tell the guys, don't let it look the same 2 times in a row.
Okay.
It should be different every time. Sometimes the first pass, sometimes the first turn, sometimes at half court, sometimes not at all, but mix it up. Unless you're on a run and the place is going nuts, you're feeling good about things. And you can tell, the players can tell too. Like, we knew in the Purdue game, like, they came to the bench the first time out and they're like, they don't want to be pressed. Like, the guys know certain teams say this is not a problem, and certain guys were like, they were on their heels. They weren't attacking, and then we can be more aggressive. If they're going to be passive, we can be more aggressive. So just to it's a little bit of a cat and mouse. And we've seen so many things you play 35 games, you've seen all the press breakers, all the way they approach it. We kind of adjust as the game goes along to how it's going.
Right. I love that, Coach. I love the freedom you give your guys, both offensively and defensively, and the read, the react, both offensively and defensively. Is that something that came from your dad with the motion offense? And then I also just wanted to touch on that. I find a lot of times when your dad or mom is a high school coach, you're a teacher heart and heart. Don't matter if you're a Division I head coach or not. You're a teacher first. Do you apply some principles and things that you learned from your dad as a high school coach?
Absolutely. Like, when you're a dad's a coach, you're in the gym when you're old enough to walk. And I saw his practices or whatever, and then I played for him. So we play for him. It's the games during the season, but it's also the summertime stuff. And when I was playing for him, it was a lot of summer camps and team camps. So we'd play like 80 or 100 games a year, summer and seasons. Like motion offense. What we knew, it's what we ate, sleep. The whole team. We had guys who were farmers who were from Iowa who, we're not like, great athletes or great players. And my dad only had like 2 college players his whole career. And I was one of them. I played Division III. And then another guy, So he didn't have great players, but they all knew motion offense. They all knew how to cut. They knew how to screen. They knew how to get open.
Right.
They knew how to play together. So yeah, a lot of the stuff I got was from him with the motion. Now we've tweaked it. The game's become more of a dribble drive stuff. More penetration is more important, especially on the East Coast. You have great guards who can get in the paint.
Sure.
So we've done a lot more cutting than screening. We used to screen a lot more.
Right.
We had guys who were coming off, down screen for a guy, and guy goes underneath. We pop it and get a three. Well, we're not. We'd rather cut and drive off that. So, but a lot of the motion is still the same. But I do like he gave these guys freedom, like they let them play. There was no play calls and stuff like that. So I try to give our guys a lot of freedom. And my thing is all right. If you're going to play your tail off on defense, you're gonna bust your butt and like pressure the ball, chase from behind, the fix-its, the traps, close out the right way, get to help side, all that kind of stuff. If you do all that, I'm going to give you some freedom on offense now to go make plays and play. And if you take a bad shot or take a quick shot or something we don't like, okay, next play, go make it up for it on the defensive end by playing great defense or by getting a trap or by getting a steal or by getting a back tip, something like that. So I think it goes kind of hand in hand. It'd be hard to press and then on offense be like a control guy who's trying to slow him down. So it almost works both ways. But like if you came to a practice, I mean, we're on them all the time. And then most of the teaching we do, it is pretty intense, is a practice.
Right.
Because when the game starts, they should know how we want to play. This is what we're trying to do. And then we'll tweak some stuff or we'll make some adjustments. But for the most part, practice is where we get a lot of our stuff done because the game's going fast.
Right.
So I don't do subs. I don't do my assistant handles the subs.
Okay.
Because if we're playing 9 or 10 guys, I can't coach the team, watch what's going on, and also worry about, hey, this guy's been sitting here for our best player's been sitting here for 4 minutes. Like I let my assistant coach handle one. Tom Bodicum does it right now. He handles the subs, and that way I'm concentrating on what the game.
Right. Wow. That's interesting. And Coach, that led me to my next question. Actually was going to be about what, with a pressing team, is your ideal rotation in a college basketball, maybe 9, 10 guys? 9.
We played 9 guys against Purdue, and our 9th man was a walk-on from Pittsburgh who's now on scholarship. But he was a walk-on. He played his tail off, and he guarded the ball and pressured the ball. He couldn't make a shot outside of 5 feet, but he could drive the ball, pass the ball. So 9's a great rotation.
Right.
We might start the year at like 11 or 10 and try to play more guys, but we get to the postseason. I love 9's a great place to be.
Right. Absolutely.
But then to do that in practice, you'd probably need 13 or 14 because you're subbing all the time and you're playing fast in practice. Guys get tired.
Yep.
So I know this year we were down to about 11 at one point with injuries and stuff. The guys did not, there's no subs in practice. So we had to shorten practice because, you guys are getting exhausted playing the whole time. So, but I loved it. I'd say 9's a great, but then the reality is, it's like, all right, number 8's got the flu. Number 9 sprains his ankle. Well, then now the good part about pressing and play a lot of guys is then number 10's got to be ready to play. Number 11's got to be ready to play. Number 12's got to be ready to play. Like we're going to go deep, because of injuries, because of sicknesses, because of whatever happens. You're going to need your whole squad, and guys know that.
Yep.
So they're prepared to be ready if their number's called.
Yep.
Because there's a reality that we will every year, every guy on a roster for the most part will play meaningful minutes in a big game.
Right.
That's the truth.
Yep.
It's going to happen.
Yep. You need to be ready for it.
Yep.
Absolutely. Coach, one thing when I watched your film, your bench energy was awesome. You could just feel the excitement, but not just like in the Purdue game and Florida Atlantic game, all that was there throughout the season. Yep. When I was watching conference games, smaller Division I gyms, your team was just, what do you attribute that to? Would that be that competitiveness in practice, or just how do you get your guys so together that the guys on the bench are bringing the energy just like the guys on the court?
Yeah, and that's a challenge as a coach, right? And so it's always addressed. We had some, it looked good at times, but there's some issues at the start of the year where guys are like, maybe not as excited, they're not playing as much or whatever. So it's constantly, we talk about being like you said, a family, a team. Like, hey, there's times that things are not going well for you, but like we got to still be there for your teammates, for your friends, your buddies, the whole thing, and for the team, right? Right. So like you sitting there not cheering for your own team is not helping us at all. And so we address it, we talk about it. I think we have high character guys who do care more about the team than them. Everybody cares about themselves, right? The reality is we all care about our own situation, but at some point you gotta sacrifice and say, you know what, I may be mad as hell. I'm not playing at all, or I'm not whatever. I still have to sacrifice and be a great teammate for my friends, my buddies, the whole thing. And when we talk about it all the time, like every guy in this team's important, no matter who.
Right.
It doesn't matter who it is. Like you could be the 13th man, 14th man, but you're still playing a role for us to be successful. And I think if you have high character guys who have who know have good families at home, good parents at home, good coaches, good high school coaches, good people around there who've been in good programs where that's demanded.
Yep.
It's like, come on, guys, you know better than this,
Right.
And so I'll bet 3 or 4 times a year we probably got to point something out. Hey, this is not how we act. It's not how we do things, and we address it and we move on. And
Right.
like, listen, at the end of the day, we all got NCAA watches. We all got a chance to be on the charter flight. I mean, it was a great experience. I don't care if you played 30 minutes or you didn't play at all. It was still a great experience for all of us. So,
right.
We got to enjoy that kind of stuff.
Absolutely, Coach. This has been so great. I have a few more questions. I do want to ask about being at a mid-major. Is there, and then also Division II is very similar. Is there ever a fear when you get players that become too good that they're going to lose them and they're going to level up? You may lose them, or do you can't let that creep in when you recruit them, or just because the reality of 2023 is just different now in college basketball?
Definitely reality, absolute reality, and you got to kind of understand it is a reality, right? I have never worried about that at all.
Okay.
I was a Division II, and we had good players, and we had a kid, Justin Reyes, who was a National Player of the Year, first All American. We beat St. John's, so our third year at St. Thomas Aquinas, we went to St. John's and won by 30, and the kid had 28 points, 18 rebounds. He played great, right? Everybody's like, well, he's going to leave. I'm like, no, I don't think he's going to leave. I think he likes it here. He's happy here. He's winning. He's having success, and he did. He stayed the whole time. The 2 guards we had who came to FDU, I was saying when I was staying at St. Thomas Aquinas, they were coming back for their 5th year. I mean, they were there. They weren't going anyplace unless I left.
Right.
So I think if you have a program where the kids are happy, you're treating them well, they're winning, they're having success, they're getting better, they enjoy their teammates. I think a lot of times they'll stay for that. I do know that some guys will leave. That's going to happen. I'm sure here at Iona that over the course of the next, hopefully the 10 or 12 or 15 years I coach here, that's going to happen at some point. You just got to kind of recognize that, and it's going to happen, and be ready to recruit. I think recruiting has become more of a thing where you're ready for anything. Right.
Yes.
You're always like, you're not sitting around saying, well, it used to be a chart. You'd have a chart and say, well, these guys are freshmen. When they're juniors, here's a sophomore. That's not the case
That's
anymore.
not it anymore.
There's no point doing a chart. Don't even mess with the chart.
Right.
So we're like, it's almost like a year by year thing. Hopefully the guys that are good, that are young, will stay, but you're also recruiting like crazy, knowing, hey, if they do leave, these guys are ready to recruit these guys next, or find another transfer. With the portal's good and bad. There's also a lot of guys out there too.
Right.
So if you lose a guy, okay, we hate to lose a guy. You could probably go find a guy who's maybe not the same. I mean, I'm sure you're the same way too, Dan. Like most coaches we were talking to, would love to have a guy for 4 years. They get better, they improve, they learn the system, they learn how to play. But that's not going to always be the reality right now. So you find the guys that can help you, and maybe you speed up your process a little bit more as far as teaching goes, and try to get them more. Hey, this is how we do things. But it's because you can't count on them always being there for 4 years. But I will say this, and people can say I'm wrong. I think if you have a good program, especially at a place like Iona, top 100 program, if guys are having success and they're winning and they love the school and they love the people around, I think they'll stay.
Yes.
Not all of them, but I think a lot of them will stay.
Right. And you build it with that core. Coach, 2 more questions. What advice would you give to high school coaches who are trying to help their players get recruited, who they feel are good enough? But it's very hard out here now with the transfer portal, with the junior college, with even the COVID years still one more year in effect for some players staying in for a 5th year. It's hard, and we want to help our players as high school coaches. What would you say we can do to help them?
Yeah, that COVID really caused problems. The idea of giving them an extra year was good in theory, but it's really backed everything up. I mean, it's caused. I feel bad for guys who are high school, the last couple of years, high school juniors, and my son's a high school senior next year. It just everything's gotten pushed back. Everybody's got these extra years. I'm not even sure what year guys are anymore. Sometimes the guys have 3 years left or 4 years left, or whatever it is. So I think certain programs will recruit high school guys and certain ones won't. I think you got to kind of do your research on who's going to recruit the high school kids and then reach out to those people. Like, I'm a big believer in high school guys. Like we signed 5 guys here at Iona. We got 12 new guys coming in. 5 are high school guys.
Wow.
So I want high school guys. Now, some programs are saying no, we're not. We're going all portal, all transfers. I do think things will come back around. Like anything else in basketball, I think things will. A couple years ago it was like you had to have great freshmen. You had to have one and done guys. That's how Kentucky did it. That's how Duke did it. Well, now it's like we have to have older guys. I do think things will come back around. I think after COVID's over, it'll help. But the more you can put stuff in front of coaches who, I think just hey, this guy takes high school guys. Well, then reach out to that coach. Like send stuff. I mean, I watch a ton of videos. I watch a ton of stuff on, get an email from guys, things like that, watching tape. Like we'll be on a bus ride somewhere, watching a bunch. Like we do believe in high school players. Like I do. Right. So the more stuff you can get out there, but anyway, there's no doubt about it. It's been tough. It's been tough for high school guys the last 3 or 4 years. But I'm hoping as time goes on, things will have, there'll be some changes will have to happen. Right. But I think it'll come back to being more of the whole 4-year guy help. But who knows, man? They may take 3 years, may take 5 years, may take 10 years. You just don't know. So as a coach, like we have to kind of like, you can't complain about it. You got to just adjust but there are guys who recruit high school guys. Just get a hold of those guys and put that stuff in front of them.
Yep, exactly. And it only takes one. It just takes that one right fit. You don't need 10. You just need to find the right fit. Coach, this has been great. My last question: we always end with a place to visit to go eat if we're in the area. You've lived there. You're in one of the rare coaches who can change Division I jobs and stay at the same house, right? So you know the area very well. If we're coming through watching a practice, coach, we need to go grab a bite. There's so many spots. Where are you sending us, coach?
I mean, that's an awesome question because, so I've been living in the same house. 3 jobs. I've been in the same house. Part of the reason I stayed in the same house, there's a barbecue place called Bailey's.
Okay,
it's about a mile away from my house. Has the best wings. And I'm talking to you guys in Texas. So I want to make sure that it could be because the barbecue in Texas is a whole lot different. But it's got great wings, great appetizers. That was my spot when I was at St. Thomas Aquinas. We would win, and I go there. We'd have a few beers and eat wings. It was like I can't leave this place because the food's too good. So I go to FDU, the same place there, and I'm the same place I own it too. So Bailey's is great. There's an Italian place about a mile from my house. There's a steakhouse about 2 miles from my house. Like all the rest, there's a bagel place. Gino's Bagels right down the road too. So these guys are awesome. Like the power of March Madness, right?
Yep.
I've been going to Gino's for I think 9 years, right? They're great guys. They're awesome. They're awesome guys, right? I'm not sure they've ever watched a basketball game. Like they didn't know who I was. Anyway, not watched one basketball game. I go in there after we beat Purdue the next week or whatever. I'm getting a bagel, my usual thing. They're like, Coach, we watched the game. I'm like, you guys watched basketball? It was a great game, whatever. So it was awesome.
Right.
So it was the funniest thing all the time. Like, man, you guys actually watched the NCAA tournament. So
that's awesome.
Yeah, I mean I grew up in Iowa, so I'm a big steakhouse kind of place. There's a lot of places there. So listen, if anybody comes out here, get a hold of me. I'll take it to I'll fight if you like Italian steakhouse, barbecue, bagels, deli. I mean, New York delis are unbelievable. I'll find a place. We'll go there and we'll talk press, we'll talk motion offense, and we'll eat good food and have a few beers. It'll be great.
I love it, Coach. You might have some high school coaches in Texas flying up this fall, so be ready.
Sounds good.
And we'll be at Bailey's. Coach, thank you. I cannot thank you enough. I know you're busy, and you're going to do a great job. We will be following Iona and can't wait to watch what you do there. Congratulations again, and thank you for joining our podcast, Coach.
Awesome, Dan. I appreciate you guys having me on. And I know Texas has great high school basketball, great high school athletics. So if I can get down there at some point and start recruiting, I'd love to do it. So any guys, anybody sees out there, just email me, send some stuff to me, and I'll be down there as much as I can be.
Absolutely, Coach. I'll help connect them. I really appreciate it. This has been wonderful.
Awesome. Thanks, Dan.
Have a good day, Coach.
You too, man. Thanks.
Man, that was just absolutely great stuff. And I just can't thank Coach enough, like I said, and he really brought it today, and hope you enjoyed the podcast. So thank you again for joining us, and just do us a huge favor. And if you're on YouTube, just please hit subscribe before you get off. It does us a solid, and follow us on Twitter for more guests throughout the spring, throughout the summer. We want to thank our sponsors one more time. Pie Society, excellent pizza, beer, Spirits, great time. And of course, Zelik's Ice House, beautiful patio, fun time in San Marcos. Thank you again. And we look forward to seeing you next time on Basketball and Brew. And I always want to thank my awesome producer, Jude McLaren, who makes all this happen. Have a great